Good evening, everybody, and welcome to The Train. My name's John Durrant, and this evening I've got with me Karen Sherlock, who I've known for quite some time. Karen is a spiritualist and an international medium, and has appeared on all sorts of different... Karen, tell us what you've appeared on.
I've appeared on This Morning, which is daytime TV, with some rescue work that I've done in the past.
Okay.
And I'm on my second series of a paranormal series that's about to air.
Tell us about your paranormal series. What's that?
The paranormal series is I'm the medium in the programme that actually walks around the locations, and we have two guests that come along.
Okay.
And what they are, they're a skeptic and believer, and they battle it out. Now, I have no comment really in that. I'm just there to say what I feel in the area,
Okay.
whether they believe or they don't believe.
When you say feel in the area, what exactly does that mean?
Well, it's some areas, you know, you can feel emotions and feelings from maybe people that have been there in a past life. Some places have been very haunted, which they can pick up negative energy or positive energy, as we say. And then some people who don't believe in anything like this just put it into like there's dust in the air or there's particles or something. So we actually come along, it's a battle between the two guests rather than about myself.
Let me just ask you, I mean, what's it called, first of all?
Paranormal Minds.
Paranormal Minds. When's that going to air?
It's in the process of being edited at the moment, but there is a first series out that's already gone on YouTube.
Oh, right, okay.
Yes,
Jolly
with
good.
different mediums in that.
Okay. It's quite interesting. You say you've got a skeptic
Yes.
and you've got somebody who believes. Do you
Yes.
think that any of it is just in their mind? Are they just, some people just see things because they want to see things?
Yes.
So they actually make it appear?
Well, we've spoke about the power of suggestion, which has been put across by the producer because he doesn't like to use that word. And as I said, I'm there to sort of clarify things, and there has been situations that there's been no explanation. It can't be explained.
Okay, can you give me one of those?
I can.
I thought you might.
Yes. In one location, we were in a lovely pub which had the B&B in it. And as I've got haunted objects that I collect from my rescue work that I do.
Come to that in a minute. Let me write that down. Go on.
Okay. And what I do, I've got a doll, a chain, a cutlery set, and I've been taking them with me in a certain rooms. And some of the rooms in this pub is called, some people won't go into the room, or children have ran out screaming, they won't settle in the room. So we go in with these two guests to see what they pick up, the feelings, the emotion. Sometimes they may say nothing at all, it feels flat. And then we may get someone who is the believer will say, oh, I'm getting all sorts of things here. So it's a battle between the two of them. So one of the objects that I did have, I asked one of the guests to lay on one of the beds, and it was with a haunted doll. And I saw a lot of flashes, and the lady that believed the same as me said, oh, I can see that too. But of course, the cameraman and the producer said, well, I can't see anything. So we just left it at that, and there was flashes around this doll on the bed. And when it was played back, he did phone me and say, well, there was a flash around the doll when you did say...
There's a flash around the doll.
I said, well, how do you explain that? And he said, I can't.
Okay. I've heard a couple of things here, actually. I've heard people say that sometimes the camera doesn't pick things up.
Yes.
And other times, like you've just said, the camera's picked it up, but the cameraman and the producer, who I presume are skeptics, didn't pick it up.
No, actually, they're not.
Okay.
One's a believer, but the producer's, quite skeptic.
Okay.
Yes.
So, all right. So the camera's picked this up, and that was... But this is a doll which was yours?
Yes, it is mine.
Okay. So why do you take that in with you? What are these haunted objects? What do you use them
the
for?
haunted objects come from a negative background, and what it does, as I take it into different locations, if there's a negative energy, it will be drawn to the object or the doll.
Ah.
And what it does, because it's there, the activity that's been around the object, they are drawn towards it. So if there's any negativity going on, they will draw straight to the object.
Okay. this brings up something else actually, because on here on the show, 2 or 3 times on the train, we've had people talking about positive and negative. We've heard people talking about positive energies and negative energies.
Yes.
How other people are saying, well, no, if they're spirit, they're all good and it's all lovely. And what's your view? How do you feel about that?
My view is I'm called out every week to clear homes, to clear houses of spirit. Some people do not believe.
Can I just stop you there a minute?
Yes.
You're called out to clear homes, to clear houses. What do you mean by that?
I get phone calls, a friend of mine, Brian, and we get phone calls every single week. We've got a negative energy, we've got a negative spirit, you know, we can't cope with things, things are not right, there's a lot of arguments. So we go to the homes where this is happening, and we go in to see whether we feel if it's a spirit, whether it's a relative that wants to make contact, or whether it's a spirit that maybe lived on the land itself before time.
I've had this actually where a friend of mine, the house that they were living in was built on what used to be an asylum.
Yes.
And there were still people around this asylum, and they didn't like the idea that new houses had been built on their, what they thought was their land, and they caused quite a lot of disruption, especially when there were young children around, children in their sort of 6, 7-year-olds who had lots of energy about them.
Yes.
They seemed to be able to tap into that.
Yes.
And use it, and cause the children to cause the parents problems. And this seems to, I don't know if I'm just me saying this, but it seems to me that that's one of the ways that they work.
Yes, it is.
It just causes disruption.
Yes, it does cause disruption, and that's why we're called in, because we are the last resort that they go to. They've called in priests, they've called in someone who's got a bit of knowledge about spirit, and sometimes, you know, these situations, it aggravates.
Yeah, a little bit of knowledge can be a very dangerous thing.
It is, and without the knowledge, it just causes problems. Okay,
so you can actually make it worse?
Yes, yes.
Ah, now that's very interesting, because I have heard people say that when they've called in somebody to clear the house,
yes,
called in a ghost hunter,
yes,
and all it's done is make things worse.
Yes.
Because I heard that sometimes spirits can get angry.
Oh yes.
Oh yes. You're sitting there going, yeah.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Experience of that.
Okay, explain, please, if you wouldn't mind.
Before I came into this movement, as I call it, before I started on this journey, I did have a lot of activity myself in my home, and I just wanted to ask questions. Why? Because at that time I didn't believe. I had a belief, but I was sitting on the fence a little bit with it, until I'd see doors opening by themselves and spirit walking in. I'd have marks over my body, and you know, I couldn't explain that. I wanted answers, and I thought, why am I getting this?
Can I just ask you,
yes.
Doors opening and closing, fine, marks on your body?
Yes, which I couldn't explain. And
do you mean bruises? Or?
Bruises. Like, I actually had a handprint on my arm when I woke up, and I thought, well, I haven't slept awkward. You know, I didn't have my hand there during the night, and I thought, for that to have such a bruise and impact on my hand, why? And I wanted answers because I was curious.
Okay. And
I didn't understand the reason why.
Without asking a lady directly her age, roughly how old were you at that sort of time?
I was about 20 years of age, about that time.
Now, I won't ask you how long ago that was, that's fine.
It's a long time.
And would you say, what was that? Was that to do with the house, do you think, or was it to do with you? Or what were the answers you got?
I feel it's a combination of both. Because the house I had was a Victorian house, and I had 5 children at the time, and they were in bed asleep, and every night at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning I could hear all these children running round, and I thought, well, my children should be asleep, that's a bit, you know, they're going to wake up. So when I went into the room, they were all asleep, and this happened for a continuance of a week, and in the end I thought, you know, there's got to be something here, there's got to be logic. So I went in, and as I went in, they had a large bed. There was 3 of them in the bedroom because it was a rather large bedroom.
Yeah.
And between the beds, there was a large circle in the middle of 5 children in Victorian clothes.
Right.
Just clapping hands, doing this, sitting quietly, looked at me, and I just went, okay, and then went out the door. That was the best way to deal with it.
But you saw them quite clearly.
Oh yes, like I'm seeing you, solid form.
Okay.
And as I said, I couldn't explain that, so I did want answers. And further to a week from that time, I was in my kitchen because I had a large house, and I happened to look down the hallway, and as I looked down the hallway, I thought what I saw was the Grim Reaper with his hood and about 7 foot tall, and I thought, oh dear, is my time up, as you would. And when I looked, and then I looked again, and then I thought, no, that's not him, because I couldn't see a face.
Yeah, yeah.
Just the hood. And then I remembered when I thought about it, I thought, well, why has he got a rosary bead around his waist? And it made me think. And I thought, well, it's not the Green Reaper, because he didn't have anything with him, so I thought, no, that's got to be the monk.
No scythe.
No, nothing at all.
So, rosary bead and round the
his head
waist.
down, yes, his head down with his hands together with the long sleeves,
A monk. Yeah.
and it was the monk. But it wasn't till a later date that I realised, who it was.
Right, you obviously, you said the monk.
Yes.
So this monk obviously means something to you more than just
Oh yes.
a monk.
Yes.
Okay, who is the monk? I've got to ask.
The monk's been with me a long, long time.
Ah, okay. So the monk is what you would call a helper?
He's a helper and a guide. He doesn't necessarily step in all the time, because as we know, we have a team of people that help us.
We do.
Rather than having sort of one designated person, which we do have, but we work with a team.
Yeah.
And whatever circumstances surround us, one person from that team steps forward to help us.
When you say one person from that team, do you know all your team?
I know a good percentage of them, but because they do change over a certain period of time for whatever suits your needs, they do change. In other words,
hang on, I would like to clarify that a little bit.
Yes, that's
Go on.
right.
In other words, what?
In other words, when we work in spiritually, we work a certain way, and all of a sudden the energy changes. And I find when the energy changes when you're working, a new person is stepping in to help you, which could change things and cause a little bit of irritation to get used to their way of working.
Irritation to you or to them? Or to
us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you say steps in, you don't mean sort of steps in like you're in a house, you're doing a clearance in a house, and a different person steps in to help, and then they step out again, or do you mean somebody who steps in and stays with you for a while?
No, for whatever occasion it is, say for a house,
Yeah.
we might need a specific person to come through. They will step in for that moment in time.
Got it.
For example, we've had a case which was a voodoo case, which is a bit different, and
Certainly.
it certainly was. But luckily, we had someone with a bit of knowledge that came with us that helped us with that also.
Okay.
That we were able to, with that knowledge, put that in place. But they had a lot of guides that helped us. So if we have another case that's similar to that, we know what to do.
Well, this is getting quite fascinating because it appears to me like you've got the police, the psychic police,
Yes.
working with you. Yeah.
Yes.
And the other thing that's become apparent from being on the train is that some people have angels and really good, helpful spirits.
Yes.
But it also seems to be apparent from what you're saying that you've got the exact opposite as well. Are there such things as demons? We talk about angels. Do we also talk about demons?
I believe there is, but life is what we make it here.
Oh.
It is, because I feel that this is the life lessons that we learn here, whether they're good or whether they're bad. I feel there is a deeper element. I do believe the demon side of things. I'm quite drawn to that side. And
Oh, are you?
yes.
Okay.
But not as in working along that side. It's more for the clearance, the help for people.
Let's find out a bit more about it,
Yes.
something with it. So, are these, as I've heard one or two people say, are these demonic type spirits, or shall we say restless spirits?
We've come across both.
Okay. Are they just people who need to be shown the right way, need to be shown the right door? Or are they people who really are enjoying doing what they're doing and being where they're being?
We've had a variety, John. We've had the normal cases, which are spirit family members and people like that.
Yeah.
We've also had the demonic side, which we've had to... luckily, we know a demonologist that can work alongside us, a well-known demonologist. So if we need the help, he's at hand. We don't often call him in, but should we need to, we've only called him in once at the moment, but he's always there if ever needed.
Tell me something.
Yes.
There's an awful lot of stuff on television these days, lots of films and one thing and another. We've got zombies and demons and people riding around on dragons and one thing and another.
Yes.
How much of that is, I was going to say is true, how much of that is, would you say, based in some kind of fact? Is fact the right word to use? And how much of it is just pure fantasy? What do you think?
To be honest, what I believe and what I've seen in the work I do, I will not dismiss anything, to be quite honest, because I've seen things that I can't explain. I've seen things from another world that I can't explain. But as I said, unless you're there at the time, it's open to debate.
This is actually quite interesting, but everything seems to be up for debate.
Yes.
Some people seem to have quite different and quite separate views on all this.
Yeah.
A friend of mine who was on here the other week, who's a druid, was talking about the energy from the earth,
Yes.
and energy from natural things, which I go along with, because I think energy is at the centre of all of this.
Yes.
But how far can spirits, do you think, affect us with what they do? How far can they influence us into doing what they want us to do?
I think they've got a wide variety of influence around us, because we've all got own free will. Sometimes we get urges, or we've got the sensation that we're being drawn a particular way. That can be down to spirit.
So a gut feeling.
A gut feeling, yes. I've had, when I'm talking about the angels, I've put out to the universe, to the angels, you know, different things I've needed because of travelling. You know, for example, I was saying about a car.
Yeah.
And the car we've got, it gets us to A to B, which is good. But I did say to Spirit, if you want me to travel even further than where we're going, you know, we need something a bit more reliable. And lo and behold, a car's appeared.
So I need a car.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I'll have one of those.
It
But
took a few weeks.
okay, it just doesn't appear just like that.
No.
But
there's certain
and the
elements,
other thing
yes.
is, correct me if I'm wrong, because we talked about this briefly. You mentioned this earlier on.
Yes.
But these things sometimes come in a very ordinary way.
Yes.
I mean, it isn't a matter of suddenly there's a car appears in a bubble outside your house.
No.
It's actually the way everything is put together
Yes.
to make it work in this world.
Yes, it is.
I have a similar experience myself, where I asked for something, which in actual fact was this show. I didn't realise at the time it was this show. I just knew that I wanted to do something with investigation and talking to people.
Yes.
And I asked for that to happen.
Yes.
And lo and behold, I got introduced to a gentleman who actually sits behind the camera over there and occasionally does his own show, but I got introduced to Chase, and Chase put the thing together for me, which I think is just brilliant, and it's working really well. So yeah, I asked them and they put together what I wanted.
Yes.
Not the way I expected it.
Yes, it's true.
It never seems to come the way you expect it.
Exactly.
And it also, it's no good asking for the lottery numbers, because you ain't going to get that, mate.
No.
It just isn't going to happen. I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that we shouldn't buy the lottery, but that's beside the point. You mentioned a little while ago, you said during your journey,
Yes.
and you said in the house these things came along and you had questions. Where did you go to get that answered?
I was curious, so I looked on the internet and thought, where can I go? I want answers. So I thought, right, okay, let's go to a spiritualist church. Never been stepped inside one before in my life, so I thought I'll go to get a few answers. Didn't know what it was about. Didn't understand the services or anything like that, so I thought, right, I think I'll go. But the minute I walked through them doors, it was a strange sensation, and I sat down and I thought, I'm home. I didn't have a clue, and I thought, what's that about? And again, I ended up running the church.
Yeah, you did, didn't you? I remember that.
Yes,
I remember that.
did.
Yeah.
So I started at the bottom, doing meditation and different things, and I was just hooked.
I remember some years ago, because I did an energy workshop at that church, which is Birkenhead Church.
Yes.
I did an energy workshop there, and you were in that workshop.
Yes, I was.
And it was quite interesting, and the things that we got out of it were quite interesting. But I remember you doing all of that, and I remember you doing all the very basic stuff that you have to do. So how do you come to the point you're at now? I understand at one stage you went to the Arthur Findlay College, whatever that is. What's the Arthur Findlay College?
I did. That was Spiritual Nationalist Union, which is in Stansted.
Okay.
People travel from all over the world, Switzerland, France, America, for a week, and I was lucky to go on a JV week.
A JV week?
It's called the JV week.
Okay.
And what it is, it's people have the opportunity that maybe it's given to churches, and maybe there's people that would like to go that because it can be quite expensive, and they're offered to go on that week, all expenses paid, and it's offered out to people.
So you asked for another freebie and got it.
I know.
Lucky girl. This actually, I can see a platform approaching. This has gone very, very quickly. Tell me something. Where do you go from here? You've done all these things. You put all this together. How did it actually crystallise for you? How did it actually come to fruition for you?
I think when I left the church, because I felt I was staying in the one area, and I wanted to travel, and I thought, I don't want to keep the gift that we all have in one location, because there's people in different areas of the country and abroad that I could put that out there, and I just had the urge that I wanted to travel, and I was given that opportunity.
A gut feeling, and then you're given the opportunity.
Yes.
It appears to me like if they want you to do something, you just get moved in towards doing it. You just said something else there as well about the way things are put together.
Yes.
And do you believe that these things are put together?
I do.
Do we have a path?
Yes, I believe everybody's got a blueprint.
Okay, you also said this gift, this spirit that we've all got.
Yes. Some people choose to accept. Some people choose not to accept. We've all got a gut feeling. Okay. We've all got intuition.
We can all do that, intuition. Yes. But at the risk of actually encouraging a lot of people out there to suddenly go along and become mediums, it doesn't actually work like that for everybody.
No. If we go into the teachings, which myself and you, of course, John, have done classes in the past of workshops, people are drawn to doing these workshops. But again, it's not learning about the workshop, it's the experience.
And they also get drawn into different parts and different things. Karen, this has been really, really interesting. You've opened up a number of little things, which in actual fact I think I'd like to take further at some point.
Yes.
And what I'm going to do, I extend the invitation now. If we can get hold of Brian, I think I'd like you to come back at some point in the future and join us on the train. You know it. Join us on the train and bring Brian with you, okay?
Of course I will.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed, Karen. Thanks for coming. This has been The Train. This has been Karen Sherlock. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, John.